When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another what if story, or fanfiction story. If this video hits 100 likes, I will immediately start on the next part. Now let's get into this story. After Izuku got done eating, Inko showed her son to the water cavern that's directly underneath the house that was used to be a lighthouse before All For One converted it into a safe house. There's only two ways into the cavern, either going through the basement or finding the entrance to the water cavern underneath the ocean through a cave system that's connected to the water cavern inside of the ocean. Because Izuku tends to act more aggressive, more like a predator, he spends most of his time in the water cavern. Izuku prefers to sleep in the water than to sleep on one of the beds inside the house. He generally dislikes bed in general. The moment Inko got her son settled into the cavern, or the house, she went back to Japan to continue her work with the doctor and give her husband status reports, leaving Izuku by himself for the time being. Several years has passed. Inko would visit her son every 3 weeks and have dinner with him. They would have dinner as mother and son. Outside of his mother visits, he tends to spend his time alone. Izuku is around 10 or 11 years old, at least by looks. Despite Izuku's best efforts, try not to draw any attention to himself, he couldn't help but occasionally go after fishing boats. But he's not stupid enough to attack fishing boats near where he stays. Izuku started to stalk fishing boats from Gotham. After a long 3-day swim, Izuku found himself in Gotham Harbor. He was about to attack one of the fishing boats when he popped his head out of the water as he saw a humongous man croc fighting on a pier against some human with a costume. Mixture between black and blue. As you see Nightwing dodging fists from Killer Croc. Come on, Croc. Don't make this more difficult than it has to be. Just return the money, big guy. Not gonna happen, bird brain. I'm trying to be nice and understanding, Croc. But you're forcing my hand. You're forcing me to be a little rough with you. Nightwing activated his long bow staff as he gets into a stance waiting for Killer Croc to get into his range. As Killer Croc has a smirk on his face. So you do have a sense of humor, bird brain. Let's see if you can rough me up, kid. Killer Croc rushed forward as he threw out a fist, only for Nightwing to jump over it. As Nightwing jumped out of the way by jumping over Croc, as Croc fist broke the wood on the pier, only for Killer Croc to get hit across the face with a metal bow staff. As Killer Croc growled at Nightwing, Then he ripped off some of the wood from the pier and smashed the wood plank across Nightwing's face. Nightwing got knocked back as strict as Dick struggled to get up. When Killer Croc was about to smash his fist into the bird brain's face, only for Nightwing to dodge to the left, then swung his bow staff, only for Killer Croc to catch it as he yanked it out of his hands and tossed it to the side. Killer Croc rushed forward, only to get hit by Nightwing's electric batons. Well, two electric electric batons that he duels wields. Basically, his small little weapons on his back. As you see Nightwing on Killer Croc's back as he slammed both of his batons onto the back of Killer Croc, electrocuting him. He was about to end it, but because of his training with Bruce, he leaped backwards, doing a backflip, dodging the high condensed water shots that just came out of the ocean out of nowhere. What the hell? As Nightwing's eyes widen as he sees several water shots heading towards his direction, infused with electricity. Nightwing dodged majority of them, but unfortunately for him, one of them landed in the middle of his chest as he gets electrocuted, shot backwards as he's sliding across the wood on the pier. As Killer Croc is on high alert from the unknown attack. Out of nowhere, being burst out of the water, landed onto the pier as Killer Croc and Nightwing sees a young-looking boy with blue horns and a tail. Izuku is on all fours, ready to pounce at a second moment, or any moment, basically. That wasn't nice, kid. Didn't your mother tell you to never attack strangers? What's your name, kid? I don't talk to food. Guess it's gonna be one of those days. As Nightwing get into a fighting stance. The moment Izuku said that, he immediately leap forward towards Nightwing. Nightwing dodged over Izuku and landed right next to his bow staff as he kicked it up in the air and caught it into his hands. By that time, Izuku is already rushing forward again. Nightwing only had enough time to block with his bow staff. Nightwing eyes widen once he noticed the kid bit right through his bow staff in half with his razor-sharp teeth. Izuku hit Nightwing with his tail when he bit the bow staff in half with his razor-sharp teeth. As Nightwing goes flying backwards. Hey kid, I don't know who you are or why you're helping me, but we need to get out of here. It's only a matter of time before the bat shows up. Follow me, as Killer Croc and Izuku jump off the pier into the water as they begin to make their escape underwater. Croc led Izuku into the sewer system immediately when they got into the sewer. Izuku jumped up on Killer Croc's shoulder. So, what's your name, kid? You may call me Terror. Well, Terror? Thanks for the help, but why did you step in? Name's Croc, by the way. Killer Croc. I really don't know myself, Croc. My instincts were telling me to assist you. Most likely the cause is because you're a fellow predator. Who was the prey? The food you were fighting against. And where are we going, Croc? Oh, you mean the bird brain? He goes by Nightwing, one of Batman's old sidekicks that ventured on his own. We're going to my little hideout, so don't eat anyone there. Once they got to the hideout in the sewers, Ezekiel saw a small village of bums in one of the large chambers of the sewer, as Killer Croc would greet everyone as he started to hand over money from the bag that he got from robbing a couple stores. Ezekiel looked at the scene with confusion as he has his head tilted to the side while looking at the scene where Killer Croc did notice his reaction. You look like you never seen money, kid. It's money. Food, I mean, human. Got a lot more happier the moment you gave them that green sheet of paper. I'm surprised you don't know anything about money, kid, but I'll give you a brief rundown. Money is kind of the essential for people to survive. It provides food, shelter, and other services. I really don't understand, Croc. Why don't humans just hunt for their food? Do, but majority of them are lazy. Humanity hasn't hunted for survival in many generations. Some still do, but not in America. So what exactly are you, kid? Easy could tilt his head to the side, thinking on the question. He doesn't really have an answer outside of the normal conclusion that he was told. He thought about it for a couple seconds. Then he simply told Killer Croc that he is a nomu. I'm a nomu. Never heard of that before. No matter. As long as you don't eat any of the people here, you could make yourself at home. As the months passed, Ezekiel quite enjoyed Killer Croc's company as they eventually team up and started causing trouble across Gotham. Ezekiel and Killer Croc are currently tracking down a local gang that's been given the homeless population that Killer Croc is responsible for protecting a hard time. So Ezekiel wanted to tag along to get a quick bite to eat. And Ezekiel is not talking about fast food. Killer Croc has spent enough time with the boy to figure out real fast the kid is a vicious predator that won't hesitate to eat any human. He found it humorous that the kid would call humans food. Most people, it would be off-putting, but for him, he got a kick out of it. The moment they got to the little gang little hideout, Killer Croc kicked the door down to see all of the street punks panicking, rushing towards their firearms, only for Ezekiel to shoot out several water bullets, shattering the weapons before they could get their hands onto him. At least the rifles. I mean, the majority of them are carrying firearms, but they're too scared to act right now. Ezekiel jumped off of Killer Croc's shoulder as he landed right next to Croc, licking his lips, staring down the gang members like they are a buffet. And they are and they are the special. What do you want, Killer Croc? Quite simple, boys. Some of your members of your little gang here have been causing trouble for the people that I protect. And I made it perfectly clear to your lot and your little goons that the homeless population that I protect is off limits. I didn't mind you run your little operations here as long as you left my people alone. But you simply can't even follow that simple rule. So I believe it's time to cut ties. They're all yours, Terror. Really, Croc? I could eat them all? I could eat all of this food? You can. Have your fill, Terror. Killer Croc went out of the front entrance and barricaded the door so no one can escape. In mere seconds, Killer Croc could hear screaming. The moment Killer Croc left through the front door. He barricaded from the outside. As Izuku rushed forward and targeted the closest human, as he ripped, sorry, as he ripped, I he ripped out his throat with his sharp teeth. As as he begins to chew the meat in his mouth, then he swallowed it. Then he proceeds to swallow it. When one of the humans came rushing towards Izuku with a bat, with one wave of his hand, the the poor guy got knocked into the brick wall as Izuku appeared right in front of him and chomped down onto his neck as he begins to eat the flesh that's in his mouth. Izuku jumped backwards, dodging some gunfire from a few of the thugs that had some firearms on their body, basically, like I said earlier. Izuku just destroyed the rifles. They all had handguns. Izuku used the water he can produce under his feet to slide around the room, dodging gunfire. He could smell the fear coming off them. As he slid closer to one of them and chopped the man in half with his claws, starting from from the stomach, basically the waist. Izuku slid around all of the humans and began to shoot off condensed water shots out of his fingertips, basically water bullets, as he ripped through their skulls, leaving the gang leader alive. As he watched all of his men drop to the ground dead, Izuku picked up one of the metal bats from one of the humans that did try to smash his skull in. As he tossed it over to the surviving member, the gang leader himself, the leader of the gang, rushed forward towards Izuku blindly, as Izuku simply ducks under his swung with the bat basically, and shoved his claw into his chest, ripping out his heart as he chomps down on the organ, while the last surviving human in the room dropped to the ground dead, as he begins to devour everyone in the room, as you could hear crunching and bones breaking. Izuku engulfed himself in water to wash all the blood from his clothes and hair, as he ripped the door off his hinges and break the barricade, as he stepped outside to see Croc waiting for him. Let's get going, Terror. We have to make one more stop. It's nothing too exciting. I owe Ivy and or I owe Ivy and Harley a favor, so they wanted me to come down to move some furniture. Very well, Croc. As Izuku jumped back on top of Croc's shoulder, as they began to walk towards Ivy and Harley's place. After a 15 to 20-minute walk, Izuku found himself in front of a apartment complex that kind of looks abandoned. As Croc knocked on one of the doors, as Izuku saw a red-headed woman with green eyes open the door and to greet them. Well, to greet Croc. Hello, Croc. Thank you for coming. And who's the young one on your shoulder? It's no problem, Ivy. This is Terror. He helped me out during a fight with Birdbrain. And we've been teaming up ever since then. Once Poison Ivy allowed them into the apartment complex, or this apartment in general, Izuku jumped off of Killer Croc's shoulder as he walked in. Killer Croc's kind of big, so he had to maneuver around the door, so he can't stay on his shoulder and get through the apartment at the same time, so he had to jump off. What Izuku saw when he entered the living room made him look twice, seeing a shark man, playing video games in front of the television, and what Izuku found quite curious was a talking Venus flytrap that's in the corner of the room reading a book. The moment he heard, he doesn't understand how he can read, but apparently he's reading. The moment he heard sorry, give me a second, guys. The moment he heard a squeal behind him, he was put into a bear hug as Harley Quinn is hugging him like he's a teddy bear. He's absolutely adorable. To do that, Harley, he eats people. Just makes him more adorable. Sorry, Terror, I tried. As Croc gave Terror a apologetic look, Croc was quite surprised that that the kid was being so docile, not even showing signs of aggression, as he fell asleep instantly when Harley got into a bear hug or hugged him from behind. After a long meal, he was quite tired, so he instantly fell asleep. He fell asleep, huh? He must have taken a liking to me. Sorry to burst your bubble, but he had quite a big meal before we came. Simply tired. It's not affection. You should count yourself lucky. Not listening. In all seriousness, Croc, who's the kid? Even though I find him completely adorable. Of course you would find a very dangerous predator adorable. All I know, he came from the sea. He's not really talkative about anything to do with his past, but he helped me out one day when I was fighting the bird brain. He gave him a good thrashing. Ever since then, me and him have been partnering up. What about his parents? What exactly is he? Because he definitely is interest looking. He's definitely an interesting looking kid. Don't know anything about his parents, but he called himself a nomu, whatever that is. Nomu, you say, Croc? I could tell by just looking at him he's not entirely human. I'm not gonna lie, I am interested what he is, but I've never heard of this phrase, nomu. Harley, why don't you show Croc what you want move? I'll keep an eye on the little one. Harley handed Izuku over to Ivy as she picked him up in her arms as she walked into the separate room where they're out of the way. As she laid the young man on the couch and rests his head on her lap while she's reading a book. 20 minutes later, Izuku woke up and sat up and stretched his arms out while yawning. I see you're awake. I got to apologize for Harley. She's very affectionate. Izuku tilted his head to the side as he has a confused expression on his face. He doesn't understand why she's apologizing for the blonde human. His mother would do the same thing to him. So he normally would fall asleep instantly. So he kind of doesn't. He was tired, so he didn't really mind. Ivy could hear a knock on the front door. As Ivy heard a woman voice that sounds really familiar, but a smile on her face. Suddenly, Izuku bolted up. Mom's here. The moment Izuku saw his mother, he jumped up into her arms as she caught him in midair. There you are, sweetheart. When I came back to visit you, I couldn't find you, and I was quite pleased you managed to find your way over to Harley and Ivy's place. I knew you were safe with my sister. Were you on your best behavior, young man? So sat her son down on the ground. As Ivy entered the room, hey Red, it's Inca. Hello, Inko. It's been far too long. What brings you to our place? I just came to pick up my little guy. He's your son? Of course he is. Hey, sweetheart, why don't you go play with King Shark over there? Why, while me and your aunt have a conversation. Inko watched her son go over to sit down right next to King Shark as he hand over a controller as they play Super Smash Brothers. Let's take this in another room. I'm curious how my adorable son made his way to Gotham and to your house, nonetheless. I'm not mad. I'm actually relieved. Why don't you take a break, big guy? I have a feeling you're involved somehow with my son. Call it a mother instinct. Of course, Miss Inko. As Ivy eyebrow raised at Croc's behavior, so I take it you know Inko as well? Yes, I've done a few jobs with the organization she belongs to. Killer Croc hasn't fully caught on with the whole sister thing, but he'll eventually get there. After Killer Croc explained how he met her son and how he was looking after the kid, and how he would have him tag along during a couple odd jobs, and their arrival at Harley and Ivy's place. I'd explain how he got here, but last time I checked, little sister, you couldn't have kids. Wait, I thought I heard that wrong. You are related to Ivy? Like sisters? You're funny, Croc. Technically, we're half sisters. We have different mothers. Apparently, our father wasn't the loyal type. And when I heard Ivy, my sister, killed father, I was thrilled. I was gonna do it myself, but Ivy beat me to it. So irritated that you didn't tell me I have a nephew. I do apologize for that, sister, but I had a lot of things going on at the time. It just kind of slipped my mind. I'll forgive you because you're my sister. What exactly is my nephew? Give you the short version. He is a hybrid nomu that I created with the help with my husband's doctor. He has human DNA alongside with Atlantean and DNA from one of the Amazons, including with my DNA and my husband's, and several different DNAs from different type of predators. Give me looks. Don't give me that look, sister. The idea to create my son into a gnome, a hybrid nomu, wasn't my husband's. It was my doing. He is the perfect predator. Did you leave him alone for so long, weeks at a time? As I would want to spend every day with my son. I have responsibilities that I must fulfill, and trying to keep him cooped up will never end well. He's very independent, and I suppose you do have a point. Can I ask you a favor, sister? Except you don't know what I was going to ask you. Already know, little sister. You want me to look after the little guy, my nephew. Thank you. I would really appreciate it. Make sure he has plenty of fish, but just don't feed him that. I've been trying to steer him away from fish as much as possible. He's very persistent. As long as he has food supply, he won't try to eat anyone. Don't be fooled by his cute and adorable appearance. My son is still a very dangerous predator. But if anyone could temper him, it would be you, big sister. Jasmine, get a lot more busier in the near future. The League is planning something big. My dear husband hasn't told me any about the details yet. He's being very secretive recently, but he'll tell me eventually. Does this apartment complex have a pool, by the way? Yes, we do. It's a very huge one at that. Good. Make sure he doesn't. Make sure he does daily exercises in the pool, and he'll most likely sleep in the pool. He's always been like that. Doesn't really like beds or rooms in general. What about education? Take it he doesn't go to school. Oh no. He would eat the whole entire class. Well, I homeschool him when I have a chance. I'll take care of that. I have some talent in the teaching, and between me and Harley, we should be able to cover it. Sis. Vi walked up to her sister and kissed her on the forehead. Just make sure you take care of yourself. If things get out of hand, promise me you get out of there. I understand he's your husband. I might not like the man or what he does, but you love him, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But if he gets you but if he gets you killed, I will single-handedly dismantle the League of Villains and kill him myself. I might I might like to live a lot quieter life than I have in the past, but I won't hesitate to kill anyone that messes with my family. All right, sister. I know you mean well. My dear husband has his own goals, and so do I. I just have it just happens one of our goals are aligned with each other. And he's not stupid enough to cross me. He knows full well I would kill him with a with not with, oh, without a second thought. Just promise me one thing, sis. Just keep my nephew out of the league business. I don't want him to fall into that crowd. As Inka giggles at her sister antics, being very protective over her son, well, aren't you being the overprotective aunt? But that's where we agree. I agree with you on that. I have no intention of bringing my darling little boy into the league if I can't help it. I don't want that type of life for my son. I might be a villain, sister, but but I'm a mother, and a mother will always do what's best for their child, regardless of what side they belong to, either villain, hero, civilian. It matters not. I have no delusion that my darling little boy will turn into a hero. They probably would never accept him, including the DNA I used to create him. I highly doubt Wonder Woman and Mira, the Queen of Atlantis, would want anything to do with my son. Of course, he used their DNA. You were always a bold one, sister. But I don't. But that's where we disagree on that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that, sister. Dana might be a tough woman, but she has a good heart at the end of the day. And what I know of Mira, the Queen of Atlantis, she's a gentle sort. Uh, She'll defend what needs to be defended, but ultimately, she seems like a good hearted woman. But I do expect you highly pissed off those two women. And I have a sinking feeling that you weren't very gentle getting their DNA samples. I basically kidnapped them. Of course you did, sister. You worry me sometimes. You're way too brash. Help us, sis. You know how much I wanted a child. They talked with each other for a few minutes. Inko had to leave, so she simply hugged her sister goodbye and discussed a few things before she left technically mostly it involves Izuku. Inko said goodbye to her son as she told him to listen to his Aunt Ivy, that she'll be taking care of him while she's away, and told him to listen to everything she says and to behave himself. After making him promise that he would be a good boy, Inko left after saying goodbye towards Killer Croc for looking at and thanking him for looking after her son. 20 minutes later, when Croc left, he said his farewells to Ivy, Harley, and Terror. When Croc left, Ivy turned to her little nephew. How would you like me to refer you? Izuku or Terror? I'm fine with both. Izuku tilted his head to the side after a couple seconds of thinking. He told his aunt to call him whatever she likes. It doesn't really matter to him. Very well. If it's my choice, I'll call you Izuku in private, then when we're out and about, I'll call you Terror. Now, I need to go over sleeping arrangements with you. You could either take one of the rooms or take the pool. Izuku responded immediately, pool. Harley and Poison Ivy showed Izuku to the pool. He immediately jumped into the water, started swimming around. To think the little guy is Inko's son, your sister. Sorry, your sister scares me sometimes. She scares me too. The things you... Give me a second, guys. The thing you don't do is cross my sister. Ivy and Harley would would watch Ivy's nephew for a few hours. Then when it started to get late, they head inside to turn in for the night. The next couple of weeks would go mostly peaceful. Izuku would spend a good amount of time in the pool and playing video games with King Shark and get tutored by Harley and Ivy when it came to his schooling. Ivy would take Izuku to the harbor on the 1st and the 20th of every month, so so he could swim in the ocean. She learned the longer he's away from the ocean, the more aggressive he gets. When she started to take him on the 1st and 20th, she saw a vast improvement, and his hostility would die down quite immediately. One night, Izuku peaceful little routine was about to be interrupted by Izuku being teleported to an unknown location, including with several of the members of the Justice League, like Superman, Supergirl, Wonder Woman, Mera, the Queen of Atlantis, Flash, as they were all teleported. Yes, Supergirl was teleported too. I don't know if I mentioned that. I wasn't sure if I read that or not, but anyways, let's continue. As they were all transported to War World, shackled in their restraint into their own cells. This is the first time the League will have an encounter with Mongol. Mongol has been observing Earth for quite some time. He took a vast interest to Izuku and the Kryptonians, alongside with the Atlantean and Amazons. Mongol could admire the Amazon people that they're true warriors. Mongol chose Wonder Woman because she was the strongest Amazon. When Izuku woke up, he found himself in a large lake in the wilderness. When when he got to the surface, he was confused how he got here. Izuku's unaware that he's no longer on Earth. He's on War World in one of the forest zones in War World. Izuku did notice metal-looking collar on him. Each time he tried to take it off, it would give him a nice shock. It didn't take him long to stop trying. But the foreign sea life in the lake caught his attention. So he immediately started hunting the new looking fish in the lake. We cut to one of the the inners of Warworld as you see Mungo on a throne as he's watching the video footage of Izuku by his drones and what cameras he does have set up in the forest region of Warworld. Send the first one out. I wish to see what this one is capable of. While Izuku was swimming, he noticed several scents coming towards his direction. Izuku immediately dived deeper into the lake. The moment they approached, Izuku stayed still in the water, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. As you see all kinds of different types of alien in the group, as they've been captured by Mongol to go through the arenas, but he's sending them out on a special little venture. As one of them got extremely close to the lake, when all of them turned around to leave, after looking around for a couple minutes, Izuku struck as he shoved his hand into the alien's chest, then pulled him into the water. As the water begins to change color from the blood, has become visible. The rest of the alien life forms got on guard. They barely saw in the corner of their eye. Izuku burst out of the lake and land on top of the water on all fours. Then he immediately rushed forward to the front alien and ripped out his throat with his teeth. Then used his other hand to karate chop a head. Karate chop, chopping the head off of the other alien. Immediately shooting out water bullets, killing the rest of them. As Izuku drags the bodies into the water, begins to feast upon them, corpses, making a good portion of the lake bloody, like a shark just got done eating a buffet. Mongol watched the whole thing from his command center. Most impressive. Send more experienced combatants into the forest zone. I want to see more. We got plenty of spares lying around.